You're about to watch Nevet's Layman. Enjoy.
Hello. Sorry for not making a video in a while. Look at my desk. Christ. Anyway, it's gigging season. As you all know, I am a big fan of my music. I go to quite a few gigs. Look at them all my gig tickets that I keep because I'm so sad. But gigs can be a bit of an awkward time, and just sort of some general tips and advice for any people who are going to their first sort of gig or first couple of gigs. I don't know, but it seems to be gigging season at the moment. All the bands that I like particularly like to tour in the winter for some reason. Other than festivals, of course, but you know, that's a completely different kettle of fish. And I've been to a festival anyway, so I can't give you any advice on that. The first sort of decision you have to make when you go into a gig, particularly in the winter, is do I want to be freezing cold outside or do I want to be boiling hot inside? That is the eternal battle inside of my mind. I always go for freezing outside, okay inside, because that's just how I roll. The way I see it is that you're only outside for a limited amount of time, but inside is what you've paid for, and so you should try and be as comfortable inside as humanly possible. What I always do when I go to gigs is just jeans, t-shirt and a hoodie. If I'm hot inside, I can just take the hoodie off, wrap it around my waist, or chuck it somewhere, you know. Try and always go with a friend to gigs and ensure that you have each other's numbers. And something I never do, but I really, really should, and everyone should, is you should arrange a meeting place after your gig has occurred so that you can reconvene. I always lose my friends when I go to gigs. I sort of end up in the thick of it and they're somewhere else and I can never find them. I spend like a good half an hour trying to find them. That brings me on to my second point, which is travel. I personally prefer public transport, but that's because I live in London. Although I am old enough to drive, I cannot drive yet. I don't feel like relying on my parents to get me to and from gigs all the time. But try and arrange your travel way before you go to your gig, because the last thing you want is thinking that there's a train or a bus that you can get from somewhere and it doesn't run on that particular day, or it's a bank holiday or something ridiculous like that and you can't get home, because that would be terrible. This one particularly applies to females. Don't get in strangers' cars, because yeah, let's not go there, shall we? Yes, gigs are very awkward things, especially when you're inside, because how do you act at a gig? Like, what do you do? What is gigging? It's a bizarre concept. Can't speak for pop concerts, but there's always a good mosh pit or a circle pit or whatever. But just generally, how do you? There's like people here, and it's all very claustrophobic. And what do you do at these gig things? It's a bizarre thing. Like, I always find myself just sort of like jumping up and down on the spot, and like, and there's always the chick in front of you with the ponytail in your face. That's always a good time. General mosh pit etiquette: don't punch anyone. It's generally a non-arm process. Don't punch people or fly kick people, as I've seen happen sometimes. Mosh pits are not a place to practice your karate moves. And if someone falls over, help them up, because people can die from trampling and no one wants a death at their gig, particularly. Show support for the support if you're going to a gig. The bands you're seeing play like that support, evidently, otherwise they wouldn't have booked them. So give them a chance, because you know, they're the next headline bands. And they're normally the most down-to-earth people, the support acts, because they're not superstars. They tune their own instruments. They set up their own gear before they go on stage, you know. And not to sound like a bit of a knobhead, but you need to take into consideration the type of music you're going to see when you go to a gig, because there's no point turning up dressed in black and eyeliner and goth boots and capes and God knows whatever else if you're going to see One Direction. You just look like a bit of a prat. Likewise the other way around, if you're dressed up in your 1D shirt or your Yumi at 6 shirt and you're going to see Metallica or you're going to see Slayer or someone like that, you are going to get the shit kicked out of you. Obviously, be who you are, and if, you know, you do like One Direction and you like Slayer, and you want to wear your One Direction shirt to your Slayer concert, by all means, go for it. I think you should be who you are. However, just as a warning, Slayer fans, most of them are not One Direction fans, so be careful. To be honest, there are no rules for gigging, really. It's all about personal preference. Not that I consider myself to be highly educated on the subject of gigs, because, you know, I haven't been to that many. Yeah, go crazy, really, is the order of the day, I think, for gigs. Do whatever you want, really, to be honest. Don't listen to me. Who the hell listens to me anyway? No one. Exactly. Happy gigging.